Welcome to Wired to Hunt's Whitetail How-Tos, where we provide a step-by-step tutorial for one important deer hunting task.
I'm sitting next to a little water hole while scouting. I love water. I think it's one of the most consistent things that you can hunt, especially if you don't have control over food sources. A food plot might be a better option if you have it, but a lot of us don't have that option. You might be showing up at public land somewhere and you obviously don't control the food there. If you look at the statistics for whitetails and how much water they need to drink per day, it might be anywhere from 1.5 quarts of water up to like 4 quarts of water per day per 100 pounds. Whether I'm on private land or public land, different states, home state, whatever. One of the things that you can always look for is a hidden water source. Obvious water sources are going to draw some people. They're often in places that you're just not going to want to deer hunt. You pick up your smartphone, your tablet, whatever, you start looking through onX and going, okay, I can see water here in this nice cattle pond at the top of this point, or I can see this lake. Those are maybe pile at best, because they're going to be a little bit too obvious. If you can see the surface water through that satellite imagery, everybody else can see it. Plus, there's a good chance it's a good sized body of water. That's a different kind of thing to hunt versus being on a little tiny water source that's really going to concentrate deer movement. What I want to see is small water in the cover, a pond that's the size of your living room, or tiny fingers, or these drainages. They don't care what quality of water it is, they care whether they're going to put themselves in danger if they go drink. What if you can't find visible surface water? The next thing you're going to want to look for is just something that might hold water. Sometimes you might see what looks like a cattle tank. You might see something with a windmill and know there's a chance that there's a water source there that was set up for cattle operations. Make a note to get in there and look at it, especially if they're close to good cover. You can even take it a step further and look for areas where there's greener foliage than the surrounding areas. You'll be scrolling over on your satellite imagery and you'll see yellow, 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 and there'll just be one little band of green. And you know that means it's wetter ground than the surrounding area. You don't necessarily know if there's gonna be a little seep or a little something in there that holds water, but it's so worth checking out. If you're hunting big chunks of public land that have grazing rights on there, you can actually zoom in and see spoked out trails going into a spot. And they might be cattle trails, but if they're concentrated on one little drainage or one little wooded draw, they're probably going in there for water. One of the issues with dealing with satellite imagery is the water that you see might have been there when the picture was taken, when that satellite flew over. That might have been a totally different time of year than when you're going to be hunting. So you got to be aware of that a little bit. Got to be aware about the dry years. You know, not every water source is going to have water when you get there, especially these smaller ones. There's an opportunity out there in a lot of places to find hidden water sources that might prove really good ambush sites. And one of the cool things there is you'll see places where whitetails might water that other people aren't focusing on quite like they would be a destination food source or a very obvious wooded ridge. So think about that this year. Do us a favor, check out the Wired to Hunt podcast if you want more whitetail hunting information. Check out the Wired to Hunt Foundations podcast as well. Tons of new whitetail information out there every week, anywhere that you can find podcasts.